Hey, new mic, who this? Got a new mic, had to up the budget a little bit, better my sound quality.
Welcome back to Street Scores. It's your boy Rico giving y'all that 2017 week.
Making moves, y'all. Had to do it to him real quick. But Redskins, we gave it all we got, man. Injuries and all. But I'm going to get into that later. Welcome back to Street Scores. It's your boy Rico giving y'all that 2017 Week 4 review edition of Redskins Report. Of course, I'm going to get to the analysis and opinions of the game versus the Chiefs. But I got to touch on a few topics first. Y'all already know how we do. Let's get it.
Why did he? What's that?
Mama's Boy Productions.
First of all, it wouldn't be right for me not to talk about the GOAT, greatest of all time for all y'all older folks, Sean Taylor, after he's been all over ESPN this week. Ryan Clark and Louis Riddick were talking about him and praising him and sharing some memories they had with him. I just wanted to basically remind people how good he was if y'all forgot. With all of the praise he gets, it's crazy when you remember that he only played 4 seasons. In those 4 seasons, he had 34 passes defended, 2 sacks, 299 combined tackles, 12 interceptions, 8 forced fumbles, and 1 touchdown. He had 5 interceptions alone in the 2007 season when he was only able to play 9 games. Like, that's crazy. He was going to be one of the greatest of all time, and I stamped that. I can make an entire episode, though, talking about Sean Taylor, but I just wanted to shout him out real quick. We miss you, man. In other news, Trent Williams' house was robbed while he was pancaking folks during the Raiders game. And it's crazy because there were 3 family members in the house when it happened, but luckily nobody was hurt. There was a lot of jewelry stolen, and unfortunately, they're still investigating to find the people that are responsible because the family members who were present at the house at the time did not get a face or could not really ID who did it. It was kind of an in and out thing real quick. So I hope they find who did it. I hope they get his gorilla chain back and all of that. In other drama news, Terrell Pryor was caught on camera giving Kansas City fans the middle finger while exiting to the locker rooms. Terrell said that it was a reaction to Chiefs fans calling him the N-word throughout the entire game and after the game. Pryor said, quote, "I chose not to kneel because as a team we decided to be one and stand, but as I walked in the tunnel, hearing some of you call me the N-word and say F you to me flicking the person off is more deserving. I do apologize to my teammates and organization, but at some point you keep calling us the N-word, we're gonna start acting up." Unquote. And he even added the little straight like that at the hashtag at the end. I see you, Terrell. Also, the NFL just reported that if they are able to identify the people throwing racial slurs at Terrell, those people will be banned from NFL games. Now, in more positive news, Kirk Cousins and his wife Julie had their first child, Cooper, on Friday, September 29th. Which is 11 days past Julie's date. I'm surprised Kirk has even been able to ignore all of that and play as well as he has the past couple of weeks. But the stress that comes with worrying about your wife and your kid being okay after giving birth, Monday night against probably the best team in the NFL in their home field was probably a breeze compared to the labor and all of that. But this bye week is great timing for Kirk. He gets more time to be home and spend time with his wife and kid. Shouts out to Cousins. He said he was going to be watching baseball over the weekend and all of that. I'm not a big baseball fan, but shouts out to him for that. And this leads me to the Redskins versus Chiefs analysis. Now, before I get into analyzing each side of the ball by position groups, I want to acknowledge that I leave no room for moral victories at all. Taking moral victories leads to a losing mentality, but I am very optimistic after this game. And as a whole, even though we are 2-2 record-wise, this is the best Redskins team I've seen since I've been alive and able to comprehend the world's most complicated sport. I was born late 1994, so I've only seen the Redskins make the playoffs 5 times in my life, and all of these were wild card entries. And the 3 most recent have been wild card exits. So this is the first time I've seen our team this competitive, unified, and believable. Look at it like this. We've probably had the hardest first quarter schedule of any team in the NFL, and we came out neutral. Eagles are 3-1. and we should have beat them. We were caught off guard, had some rust, and we were one bad call away from getting the opportunity that we deserve to have a game-winning drive, which I have confidence in Kirk Cousins to complete. We beat the Rams, who are 3-1 and are the best team in the NFC West. The score was closer than the game actually was. We should have beat the last remaining undefeated team in the league, the Chiefs, but I'm going to get into all of that later. And the Raiders, who was supposedly the best team out of all 4 teams I just mentioned coming into this season, we slumped them up. That was pure domination. So even though I do not accept moral victories, you can't help but notice that we are way better, and we will compete with anybody in this league. And I'm also loving how we coming out red hot right now. We had a serious issue with starting cold the last few years and always having to play catch up for the rest of the game, coming out the second half trying to play catch up, and that was annoying. I'm glad we're actually coming out and scoring and moving the ball on our first couple of drives. But moving on, there were 74,587 fans in attendance at Arrowhead Stadium on Monday night. This is one of the hardest places to go and get a road win. But let's get into this offense. Kirk Cousins, with a couple of mistakes made, not a perfect game, played very well for the most part, completing 14 of his 24 passes for 220 yards. He was throwing passes right where they needed to be.
Kansas City defense crowding the middle, anticipating a run for Pirine. They fake it to him, and the kick Grant.
Great call by Jay Gruden. That's the second time they've scored touchdowns against their great left corner.
He showed timing, accuracy, arm strength, and that boy was out there beating his feet too. One I remember was a play designed for him to run in the first quarter, right here.
And again lined up as a fullback. They are going to go for it. It's a play fake. Cousins got it.
But the rest was scrambles and some great improvising on his part. On that last drive, he was killing them with the scrambles. One went for about 10 yards.
Louder than it's been all night. Cousins, flush from the pocket. First down. Situation there and made the right decision.
Houston thought he got held by Morgan Moses, but you said it. This is what we have been waiting to see from.
Another went for about 15 yards.
Career long is 54. But for his career, he's only 38% beyond 50. They like to get him a lot closer. Here comes Cousins again.
Cousins, 2 things we have not seen him do: take a game over, make some plays when there's nothing there at crunch time. Great.
And another one for 8 yards. We also managed to stay in bounds to keep the clock rolling.
2 big runs on this drive for a combined 25 yards to get them down to the 30. Here he goes running again.
Even though Dre Gruden messed that whole operation up, but I'm gonna get into that later. And what I love most about these scrambles is that, first of all, he's not scared and he's showing he clearly wants to win. But secondly, he's looking for receivers and uses scrambling as a last resort. He's still looking for the bigger play, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. He had a career high in rushing attempts and yards, 38 yards in 7 attempts. I love the throw to Terrell Pryor, even though it was a little underthrown.
Of his 40 passes in the direction of Mitchell and away from Peters. Cousins for a deep try, looking for Pryor, and it is caught.
He shut the crowd up with some early success, and Pryor runs right by Marcus Peters, and he uses his ball.
And the throw to Josh Doxson was perfect.
Kansas City rush 4. Cousins throws to the end zone.
Hudson went up and had it. Just couldn't control the catch. And Jordan Reed wanted the football isolated outside. He had 2 steps.
Couldn't have thrown it better. Sadly, Josh Doxson couldn't finish it, but I'm going to talk about him later. Statistically, Kirk Cousins had a perfect passer rating at 158.3 when blitzed against the Chiefs. And he has an adjusted completion percentage of 95.5% on play action passes. He's completed 18 of 24 play action passes, but 2 of those 6 incompletions were intentionally thrown away, and 3 were drop passes. That 95.5% is tied for the best of any quarterback through the first 4 weeks in the last 5 seasons. The only person he's tied with is his 2014 self. Just dropping some stats for y'all, you know what I'm saying? Y'all welcome. The offensive line played very well with the exclusion of a couple of moments. The injury bug tried to get my boy Trent Williams, but he brushed that right off and went back in and played well. But Morgan Moses failed to successfully block a Chiefs rusher on our almost game-winning drive. And if he made that block he was supposed to on a run with Chris Thompson, then it could have very possibly been a touchdown, and the whole Josh Doxson thing would have never even happened, and we are more than likely walking away with a win. With us being up 24-20 and forcing Kansas City to score a touchdown with 50 seconds left versus a simple field goal. Great game, O-line. allowing no sacks, but little things add up. Got to be almost perfect when playing the cream of the crop of this league. But so far this season, the offensive line has been doing their thing. The 4 sacks they've surrendered have come from the same 2 players. And as a whole, they've only surrendered 33 total QB pressures from 136 pass blocking snaps. That's impressive. The running backs were pretty good. They weren't utilized as much as they should have been, specifically Chris Thompson. Chris Thompson is our most dynamic playmaker right now. And he only got the ball 6 times for 23 yards. And he only got 1 reception for 4 yards. I don't care if the Chiefs game plan for him and attempted to take him out the game. I do not care at all. I'm assuming we game plan for Kareem Hunt, and he still had 121 all-purpose yards. We should have gotten the ball to Chris Thompson no matter what. But Rob Kelly was playing well before he got hurt, running folks over.
They shift Niles Paul, ordinarily a tight end, to the backfield to lead the way for Rob Kelly. Bounces off some hits and is free.
Samaje didn't have a bad game. He just had that really bad play where he fumbled the sweep play that forced us in the 3rd and long and pretty much ended that drive. Our tight end, specifically Vernon Davis, had a great day. Jordan Reed had a nice catch in the red zone, looking like himself.
5-man rush, well blocked, and the throw on target.
But he was clearly limited by his injury and by coaching decisions. Rookie tight end Jeremy Sprinkle was even on the active list just in case. That shows that the Redskins didn't expect Jordan Reed to make much of an impact against the Chiefs. But just simply having him out there as a distraction is very effective. He almost requires a double team. He was open on that throw that Doxson dropped for the game winner, but I'm not mad at Kirk for that at all. That throw was perfect. But Jordan Reed did show signs of his healthy self on that route he ran in that play. But back to Vernon Davis, 2nd straight week of going out there making plays. I'm so glad we picked him up a couple of years ago. He's taking our offense to another level. He was getting open with great route running.
The 10-0 lead. Kirk Cousins after the play fake. Wide open receiver. Vernon Davis, the veteran tight end.
And he was out there making big plays.
Shown to Tampa Bay and San Francisco, respectively. Cousins deep. Throw, man, wide open. Vernon Davis, the tight end. Look out. Vernon Davis crossing the field. Boy, how far did he run with nobody and ran even near him?
Years old, but he can still run. Great pass protection, and Vernon Davis takes advantage of this mismatch. There had to be a blown coverage. There's no way you want Justin Houston covering Vernon Davis. Great throw.
Hey, you a Georgia Bulldog, Justin Houston, but you was lost out there in that coverage. It wasn't fair once he was assigned to covering Vernon Davis on that route. I don't know what the Chiefs drew up and how they thought that was going to work, but that was money anytime that matchup happens. Vernon Davis also excelled in run blocking this game too, looking like the complete tight end out there. And it's crazy because a lot of teams don't even have 1. We maybe have 2, maybe 3. The wide receivers played pretty well too. Just didn't come up big enough when we needed them most. Ryan Grant missed it when you need him. Made a great catch for a touchdown to cap off a great Vernon Davis play that I just previously mentioned.
Defense crowding the middle, anticipating a run for B-Ryan. They fake it to him, and the catch is...
But didn't have the speed to take the lid off the defense on a deep throw that Kirk Cousins overthrew him on. Josh Doxson, who was growing into, or should be growing into our #1 receiver, went out there and made a great catch in the 4th quarter.
You can donate $10 to American Red Cross efforts for relief. Kirk Cousins now in a tied game. Long throw and a diving catch.
But couldn't haul in the go-ahead potential game-winning perfect throw from Kirk Cousins.
Kansas City rush 4. Cousins throws to the end zone.
Terrell Pryor had a big play very early in the game, which showed his potential as a big play threat.
Shut the crowd up with some early success, and Pryor runs right by Marcus Peters, and he uses his ball.
But he also had a pretty costly drop on a 3rd down slant route that could have extended an important drive and possibly led to some points. And most importantly, give our defense some time to rest. They were out there struggling, but I'm going to touch on that a little later. Overall, our offense was very effective. The offense played very well against one of the best defenses in the NFL. With 74,587 people in attendance, The Chiefs had a huge home field advantage with the crowd noise, and I'm very surprised we never had a single delay of game or false start. I mean, that's crazy. That was very impressive on the road, especially somewhere like in Arrowhead. But a lot of opportunities were missed and left on the table. Chris Thompson didn't get enough touches through both the ground or the air. Offensive linemen missed some blocks that could have led to big plays and some points. Receivers dropped much needed passes. Jay Gruden's clock management on that last drive ended up killing us. But overall, they went out there and played very well. Definitely some improvements to be made out there, but we're going to build on it and get even better. I'm sure of it. Now, this defense. Injuries, man. Injuries killed us. I'm almost sure for a fact we would have won that game if we did not have to throw in almost entirely 11-man squad of backups against the last undefeated team in the league. Almost everybody out there was getting hurt. Even the backups were getting hurt. But let's start with the D-line first. The D-line part of the trenches played very well. Matt Ioannidis and Jonathan Allen looked pretty good out there. I'm glad that people are acknowledging how great Jonathan Allen was and how much of a steal. He's starting to show it now. I'm seeing on ESPN and everywhere people talking about Jonathan Allen. How did we let this happen? I was trying to tell y'all months ago that y'all really done messed up by letting us get him. But it's too late now, man. No takebacks. But they combined for a nice sack early in the second quarter.
That it really hasn't had in recent years. They're surrounding Alex Smith, who goes down back.
Terrell McClain had a sack later on that play that was mainly caused by Zach Brown's excellent blitz.
A team in the league trying for another. Smith in trouble, and he'll get buried way back.
Matt Ioannidis led the team with 6 pressures. And according to Pro Football Focus, the only defensive end who has played better than him this week was the one and only Aaron Donald. And he's the best defensive lineman hands down in the league right now. So shouts out to Matt Ioannidis for being the second best D lineman in the league this week. And he's been playing his tail off all year. The outside linebacker group is where it got tricky. Ryan Kerrigan and Preston Smith played so well while Josh Norman was still in the game. But as soon as he got hurt, not just Preston and Kerrigan, but the whole defense struggled. Preston Smith kept getting offsides penalties. One of them specifically was on a 3rd and short, which resulted in a 1st and goal, which led to this Kansas City score.
Smith keeps it and scores.
Can't have them costly penalties, man, especially in such abundance. And Kerrigan was bringing some pressure like this play right here.
4,000 this season. Play fake, and he's in trouble and dropped immediately. Ryan Kerrigan.
But he also refused to contain Alex Smith. Alex Smith consistently scrambled outside of the pocket, and it was usually to Ryan Kerrigan's side. And this is where he made his big plays, like the one that really killed us on their game-winning drive.
Back. Smith, flush from the pocket. Goes on the run, and it is caught.
When he escapes, you have to plaster, and you have a number of backup players, and what a great job by Albert Wilson. How about the throw?
We just can't have that. Can't have that. And Junior Gillette was pretty non-existent this game too, honestly. The inside linebacker group was out there trying to make some things shake, but they were getting hurt left and right. Zach Brown, who had an excellent blitz that caused the sack that he didn't get credit for on this play I showed earlier.
Of 80+ than any team in the league trying for another. Smith in trouble, and he'll get buried.
Got hurt and had to sit out a couple of plays. Montrell Spate was banged up. Mason Foster was still hurt from the Rams game. Will Compton was also a little banged up with his ankle injury. I mean, it was just ugly out there this game. Our corners were out there getting hurt left and right too. With Josh Norman on the field before his rib injury, the Chiefs had 0 points. They threw for 5 yards per attempt, and Alex Smith was pressured on 44% of dropbacks. After Josh Norman's injury in the late second quarter, right before halftime, the Chiefs scored 23 points, and Alex Smith was only pressured on 20% of his dropbacks. With Josh Norman out there, we were able to send more people to pressure the quarterback and let Josh Norman just do his thing. He's well worth the money he's getting. He's smart, physical, talented, and an emotional leader. I love his attitude. Notice here how Travis Kelce picks up a 1st down and then taunts unnecessarily, and then watch what Josh Norman does as an immediate response to Kelce.
Season. All right. Let's get back in the huddle.
Woo-wee! You ain't had to do him like that, Josh Norman. I loved every bit of it, though. Don't come around the Redskins defense playing around the showboat and thinking you're not going to get laid down. If Swearinger had the opportunity, he would have done the same thing. But with Josh Norman hurt, Quentin Dunbar came in and played well as his backup. He was targeted 5 times and only allowed 3 catches for 14 yards. Sounds like a little mini lockup to me. He is a solid fill-in for Josh Norman, but there is no replacing Josh Norman, of course. Plain and simple. But what's crazy about Dunbar is that he even got hurt this game. And so we had to put in the backup of the backup into the game. Stephen McClure and my boy Fabian Moreau had to get thrown out there to the Wolves, getting some of their first snaps in the NFL against one of the most effective and creative offenses in the NFL. Not just this year, but of ever. They did their best, but they clearly weren't the starters for a reason, and our defense crumbled. Breland had one of his worst games of the season. He wasn't terrible, but once the injuries started piling up, it got ugly for him. And he was tasked with guarding baby Gronk, Travis Kelce. It was sad. And my boy Kendall Fuller was even hurt. If we had to give an injury report for this bye week, it would look like a Walmart grocery shopping receipt, or like a ninja scroll or something. But the safeties handled their business, but there were injuries back there too. DJ Swearinger got his first sack as a Redskin. Congrats to him. Monte Nicholson, who is a rookie that is only starting because Sua Craven's almost retired, got hurt too and was playing pretty well prior to his injury. So here came DeShazer Everett, and then even he got hurt. We were reaching deep within our 53-man roster just to be able to throw out enough defensive players to even meet the requirement of 11 players on the field. I mean, it got real ugly. But in conclusion, I can't be mad at our defense. In the beginning, when we were the least injured, we were picking right up where we left off last week. Dominating, up 10-0, and then we lose our Pro Bowl corner. And then the majority of the starting defense followed suit. The defense also got tired. They were out there too long. Even when the Redskins scored, we did it so fast, the defensive players didn't have much time to catch their breath. We ran 22 fewer snaps than the Chiefs. The best defense ever even starts to play poorly when they get tired. But shouts out to the defense for bending but not necessarily breaking, forcing some clutch field goals instead of allowing some dangerous touchdowns. Y'all did what y'all had to do. Kansas City was really playing against our second team defense out there, if we want to be real. And what's crazy is that even with Jordan Reed, a top 3 tight end when healthy, was banged up, Chris Thompson not getting enough touches, receivers dropping passes, Pro Bowl outside linebackers not doing what outside linebackers do, and that's contain, and almost the entire starting defense on the injury report, we still should have, not could have, but should have beat possibly the best team in the NFL. The team that made the defending Super Bowl champs, the Patriots, looked silly in week 1. Even with all of those boneheaded mistakes made by Preston, Jay Gruden, and others, we still should have beat the last undefeated team on their home field. So even though I don't like moral victories, I'm definitely excited about what our future holds. And I know for a fact that other teams in this league are afraid to play us, especially with our smash mouth football. Andy Reid, Kansas City's head coach, said before our game that we were going to be the toughest test thus far this season. And they played the Patriots already. But we've either beat or should have beat every team we played this year. We've competed against the best. We have gone into games being the aggressor, knocking people out, punching people in their faces, and not giving up when it looks dark. Playing from start to finish. I don't care what anybody says, we are a great football team. If we keep this up and keep trending upward from here, we are definitely playoff bound. We are the best team in our division, clearly. Cowboys can't stop a soul on defense. Giants just clearly don't want to win. And the Eagles started hot last year, just like this, and ended up last in the division. They're a young team that's bound to lose steam eventually, so I'm not even worried about them. And we're definitely better than them. We'll play them after the 49ers, and we'll show them that we are better than them. And by the way, I admitted that fumble return for a touchdown by Justin Houston on purpose. That was one of his worst games as a pro. But since he got that fumble for a touchdown, people probably won't even talk about it. But as a Georgia Bulldogs fan, I have to acknowledge it. That game was terrible, Justin Houston. And I don't want that fumble return for a touchdown to let you. I don't want you hiding behind that fumble return for a touchdown, plain and simple. That game was terrible. Also, it's funny to me that Kirk, by himself, is getting paid more than all of the Chiefs' best playmakers combined. Kirk Cousins is making $23.9 million this year, as you see on the screen. Alex Smith is making $10.8, looking like the MVP of the league so far. Tyreek Hill and Kareem Hunt barely edging the mill combined. Travis Kelce, probably top 3 tight end in this league, making $2.7 million. That's crazy. And shouts out to Trent Williams and Ryan Kerrigan for playing in their 100th career consecutive regular season game and starters. But that's it for this episode. Thanks for the view. Have fun making this, even in spite of the L we took. Make sure y'all Dolemite fake punch that like button, favorite, subscribe. I'll subscribe back. And most importantly, please comment and share. But definitely subscribe if you haven't yet. And again, thank y'all for y'all support. I'll catch y'all later. I'm going to put out a preview for the game against the 49ers soon. I'm out.